everyone, and welcome to the news for October 10th. I want to start this whole thing by saying that I am super tired, so if I screw up at all, Maxie will probably leave it in and make me look bad, but it should be funny regardless, and I'm going to do my best. I've gotten like 3 hours of sleep in 72 hours. I am joined once again by the chunky, because he said I shouldn't call him illustrious anymore.
No.
The chunky Maxie.
I'm not letting you call me chunky, motherfucker.
Look, I'm a thick boy, okay, and I carry it well. All right, I don't know what you're trying to say here, but it's that you wanted a new adjective, you got it. Maxie, what do you want to say to people?
Hello.
Let's just start with the news. Now, it's hard to completely miss this unless you live in a shell in the middle of nowhere, but everyone at this point has heard about what has happened at Twitchcon, and that was the fact that someone who worked there decided to basically put a layer of cubes over a solid concrete floor and then have people jump on top of it, leading to a specific individual having her back broken in 2 places, as well as getting rods put in and possibly being impeded now for the rest of her life. I saw this happen, and the video, for anyone that's wondering, you feel it through the video, and we'll probably have it up on screen. But God, what do you think of this, Maxie?
I think it's crazy. I think the craziest part to me is that on the first day, they had someone injure their foot or their ankle really bad enough so that they had to leave TwitchCon.
Yep.
And then the second day, Lenovo were like, yeah, just jump ass first. And someone broke their back.
What's so crazy is they were like, oh, there were rules, allegedly. Now, understand, you bet your ass that they're getting sued, okay?
Yeah.
Because in California, and I just want to throw this out there because a lot of people have been acting like they're lawyers and understand how things work. Sorry, but in the real world, you can't sign a waiver or make people sign a waiver that holds up legally in court when you're violating state health and state safety laws or federal health and safety laws. I think in this case, they're violating state health and safety laws. The contract, the agreement is completely null and void, the waiver, disclaimer, whatever you want to call it, if it violates state law. So there is going to be a lawsuit around this, but it's insane because they were like, oh, there's rules, don't do this. And then there is a live recording of a commentator encouraging people to do this on behalf of the company. And
so the confirmed injuries that we got were obviously Adriana Chechik, who is an adult film star, did break her back by jumping butt first into the pit, as well as another content creator, Locke Vanessa, who dislocated her knee and sprained her ankle. There was photos of her in a wheelchair as well. It was also noted that although there were things in place to apparently keep everybody safe, at the Lenovo Legion booth, the host was quoted as saying, "Who knows? You could even do a pit dive from the Street Fighter booth," which is some real Jeff Hardy ECW kind of shit. Yep. And I think it's so funny that the moment it happened, right, Twitch was like, "Oh, we got nothing to do with it. We are completely separate from Lenovo. This is not our fault."
But yeah, we're absolutely on the side of everyone that got hurt. This is insane. I think not only the company that was hosting the event, specifically Lenovo, but obviously the event hosts are liable for it, because at no point did anyone who's hosting the event go through and do a safety inspection and say, hey guys, look, people weigh this much. This is how gravity works. Here's physics. Maybe putting more than like 7 cubes, in an area would probably do better for health and safety. No. Instead, they were like, yeah, just dive into the cubes. And even in this picture in this article that I'm looking at, you can see that he's only up to like his knees in cubes. And it's like, dude, if you just land at the right angle, you're not even going to land on a cube. You're going to the floor, which is what happened. But yeah, glad I didn't go. I probably would have died. And that's the end of that, really.
And then the era of Ctrl+Alt+Maxi starts.
Delrith dies in a TwitchCon cube concrete accident. Dude, imagine the clicks, though. Like, our content would explode if I died in some horrible accident.
Now that I've made that joke as well, I have to make sure that I have an alibi if you ever die.
That's true. That's true. If I ever disappear suddenly or die off the channel, make sure that you clip this or like cut this part, and make sure that Maxie's held accountable for my death. Now, we recently put a video up, I think as of today, of us recording this. We record this usually on Mondays, American time, Maxie, not your Tuesday weird ass Australian time.
You don't have to, you could just say Mondays.
You know what?
You'd have to bring my country into
I
it.
gotta bring your country into this, but we just posted a video regardless called The Teardown of Overwatch 2. Go watch it if you haven't watched it. It's very spicy. We're very angry in it. We bring up a lot of stuff that people have forgotten about. But I guess there was another thing happening, and that is a bug that was causing players in the game's like text chat to buy things accidentally. And when I first read this, I had issues comprehending it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm tired. But
Yeah.
the thought of just typing stuff in chat and your credit card getting purchases on it, it's just so dumb to me. And one of the things to mention was the bug was brought to public attention by Drac Yoshi, who found themselves inexplicably buying Junker Queen's plutonium skin while using the chat in the game's hero gallery. So I guess the bug was tied into using chat while browsing the hero gallery and looking at skins and stuff, but it's just another fire onto the pile that is Overwatch 2, you know? It's like every time I'm like, there's nothing worse that they could do. You know, we've seen everything. There's only so many, like you could have more stuff like worse microtransactions or like servers not working or accounts getting deleted. You're like, oh yeah, that's expected. That's happened before. But not once in the history of a video game ever have I ever heard of typing in chat swiping your credit card for you without you being aware of it. What do you think of this, Maxi?
Pretty crazy bug, especially because he's not the only person this has happened to. Just browsing the Reddit thread, you can see how many comments of people saying that they had the exact same thing happen to them. The only way to avoid it at the time was just to avoid using the in-game chat while in the hero gallery. There was obviously an update that was launched, but it was launched very quietly. They didn't announce anything or anything. And as of reporting, nobody has been refunded their credits for any of the heroes they accidentally purchased.
And just to clarify, I was saying swiping your credit card. Yeah, it was in-game hero credits, legacy credits specifically, not credit cards specifically, like money thing. But just still, like using your currencies without asking is just wild. What a weird and crazy bug to just go onto the fire pile that is Overwatch.
And that's it. I think this is just, again, man, like, you know, people being stuck in lengthy queues, obviously the frustration with the SMS Protect system and prepaid phones, and then the DDoS attack around the release. I feel like refusing to refund a couple credits in this situation is just more bad publicity that Blizzard really doesn't need. But at the same time, I'm kind of thinking, I don't think they care. I don't think they care about publicity. I think Blizzard has definitely gone the rockstar route of any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see just how many people were affected by this. It may be interesting to see like how much of a widespread issue this was. I am also curious to see how many people had this happen to them that aren't aware of it. Because if you have a bunch of legacy coins and you accidentally spend some of them, you might not even notice if you just see a skin that appears in your inventory. If you have like 100 other skins, if you were one of the lucky people to get account migration, you might just not know. So
if it was me, I'd be like, oh, I must have unlocked this.
Yeah, maybe there's like way more cases of it than reported, because there are a lot of Audible. Usually Audible people account for like 5% of total cases in any situation. So we'll have to wait and see.
Next up, EA cancelled a single-player Plants vs. Zombies spin-off to back a Star Wars game, which it also then cancelled. So about 7 years ago, a team of 30 developers at EA Vancouver began working on a Plants vs. Zombies spin-off, which is PopCap's original tower defense game. If you own an iPod Touch, I guarantee you played it.
Game is awesome, by the way.
It was absolutely fantastic. And then in 2014, they moved into parody-based shooters with Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, which was obviously a copy of Modern Warfare because Modern Warfare was so popular back then. Apparently, EA was open to more new ideas, and one of these new ideas was a single-player action-adventure with Arkham-style combat in which a teenager partners with plants to fight undead while traveling through time. It sounds like a fever dream, and don't fret if you can't get your head around it, because it's not happening anymore. They, in the end, decided to instead make this game to back a Star Wars game. The Star Wars game itself didn't actually have a name, but because of the success of games like Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order, and obviously a lot of new movies coming out, EA decided that it was worth putting their money into that rather than the Plants vs. Zombies game, which they then promptly cancelled. So neither of the games are getting launched, and yeah.
all we got is sadness. But I will say I really like the name of the project for Plants vs Zombies. It was Project Hot Tub, and I think Project Hot Tub is a great internal hot tub name. That's awesome.
Apparently, it was a reference to the movie Hot Tub Time Machine, which would feature levels based on the present day, a pirate island, Wild West, and the far future.
Makes me sad because I really liked Plants vs Zombies, and I honestly would like any more in the universe. I think it's just fun. Although at this point, with how mobile games are, I feel like it would be filled with more microtransactions than actual gameplay. But hey, you know, it could be fun, and maybe they'll work on it in the future, but it does look like it's not possible right now.
I totally missed the Plants vs Zombies train when I was a kid. So I don't know. They're just one of those games that just never gave a go. I've thought about it every now and then. So if you had to choose, either got a brand new top of the line Plants vs Zombies Arkham style game or a Star Wars game, which would you prefer?
Honestly, the Plants vs Zombies, because EA has a better track record of making those games good than Star Wars games. Let's be completely honest. Not to throw, to throw a lot of shade, but Battlefront 1 and 2 were depression simulators and caused me to have therapy. So, plants, man, plants.
But also Plants vs Zombies in an Arkham style beat 'em up. I think that's really funny.
I think that's cool. I think that's cool as a concept. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really disappointed there's not even like a trailer for us to play or anything like that. So, but yeah, that's it. In more heartbreaking news, Infinity Ward has decided to follow in the step of Blizzard. Modern Warfare 2 will have the same controversial phone number requirements as Overwatch 2, which means fans with prepaid phone plans might not be able to play the pivotal shooter. Obviously, Overwatch 2 is still coming under fire because of the decisions they made. I think that they ended up rebuffing it or changing their stance on it. Is that correct, Dale?
Yeah, they're allowing anyone that owned the original Overwatch to play it without a mobile phone number, but they're still requiring all new players to add a phone number. So it seems like they're just requiring everyone to have phone numbers for the new Call of Duty coming out. And their whole argument is that it's supposed to stop cheaters. But let's be real, you're going to lose more money stopping people just trying to play the game than cheaters. So I have no clue.
I feel like it will stop cheaters for the first month or so, but then they'll find a way. That's the thing with cheating, is that they always find a way to do it. They'll find a way to spoof phone numbers, make fake... there'll be a company that comes out that you can pay a small fee to make it look like you're on a plan, etc., etc., etc.
Yep.
There's going to be so many different ways to get around this, and I think that instead of investing investing time into systems that are put in place to affect all of your players, just invest more money into your anti-cheat. I saw an absolutely fantastic video by Basically Homeless a while ago, and I'd recommend going to check it out if you're into looking at like the ins and outs of how the anti-cheat system works. He posted a video a while ago where he talks about this new AI learning algorithm that can be used to catch cheaters by just watching their gameplay. It doesn't need to scan their computer for executable files or Word documents or whatever's being used to help you cheat. It just watches you play and compares it to tens of thousands of hours of professional level players playing the game, and it makes a decision based on whether or not you're cheating. I'll send the link to you, Dell.
That's very cool.
So that you can put it in the description, because it is a fantastic watch. And yeah, please go check it out, because these systems need money. And instead of relying on a system that is being beaten over and over and over again, and let's be honest, even Valve's anti-cheat and Easy anti-cheat and all that kind of stuff, that stuff is just not working as effectively as they could be. And I think systems like this could be put in place that would allow anybody to come in and just play the game, because it's ridiculous that you need a phone on a plan to play a video game.
Next up, we have an
Kind of a tongue twister. Fuck.
See, I'm not the only dumb one. Next up, we have an ex-Bethesda dev saying that Starfield's development team is more than double that of Fallout 76. You're not going to get the context of why I was saying that so strictly, but we screwed up a lot, and that is a tongue twister. Try saying that title and just see if you could do it. But yeah, I'm going to just start by saying, God, I hope so. Because Fallout 76 is not the bar that you should be looking at as a company to do better than. That is not like Bethesda, look, I get it, okay? But if I was an ex-Bethesda employee, that's not the bar that I would be using. I would be like, oh yeah, dude, it'll be twice as good as 76. It's like a 0 multiplied by 0 or 2 is still 0. Like, and to their credit, they said that Fallout 76 had 200 developers-ish working on it tops, and Starfield has like 500 plus, but I'm still not, like, I refuse to give into the hype for this. This is Bethesda we're talking about, okay? It's just, they don't make good games, okay? They resell Skyrim. That is their core function as a company. That is the only reason why they have earnings in like decent numbers for their shareholders, because they're like, God, next year let's release Skyrim on a toaster, sell it for $70, and they do it like the Nintendo Switch. That's the toaster I'm referencing. And it's just, I don't think you could have 1,000 people working on this game and it would still not be as good as people want it to be. And
well, you can debunk this story immediately for what it is, right?
Yeah.
So let's say everything that is being said is true. So ex-Bethesda dev says Starfield development team is more than double the size of that of Fallout 76, okay? So you said there were 200 devs for Fallout 76 and 400 for
500 for Starfield.
500 for Starfield. Sick. That would be dope, except isn't Starfield a game that exists within galaxies? Fallout 76 was one fucking country.
Yeah, it wasn't even a country, it was a county.
It was county.
It was
right?
a county, yeah.
So, sorry, but this just scares me.
Especially when you go back and
manpower building a game that's 4 million times the size of a game you butchered, that doesn't get me excited.
No, the ratio's not good. And what's so funny, Maxie, is when we did the video, the big discussion about Starfield, I think we made a separate video for it. I think you even edited that video. It was Godfrey and I talking about it, and we'll throw it in the description, probably throw it up on screen. We talked about how their idea for like the game was to have like 7 major cities or 9 major cities or something, and like 10,000 stars or planets you can visit or something stupid like that. And our first thought was like, okay, so you're adding like 7 areas of interest in the entire galaxy and then dead lifeless rocks for the rest of the entire game, and it's just going to be copy pasted randomly generated bullshit, like procedurally generated stuff. Like, okay, that's like Maxie said, that still doesn't make me confident in the game. It could be really, really pretty. Like, it could have the best dead rock looking planets in the entirety of the game, of like the entirety of all games, but 500 people doesn't matter, because there's been games with like 2,000 plus dev teams that have come out that were garbage. I mean, Anthem, I think Anthem had like 600 or 700 people working on it. I could go off for hours, but yeah, no, I don't, this could be bad. It's could probably be bad. I'm sad now.
The Last of Us actors haven't played the games. The actors for the upcoming HBO series The Last of Us reportedly haven't played the games and were even encouraged to not do so. In a report dropped by Gamer Rant. In a report dropped by Gamer Rant, it describes the fact that both the actors for Joel and Ellie in HBO's Last of Us series have not played the games and were encouraged not to. Obviously, video game adaptations are very tricky things to get right. I think we've had maybe 2 good video game movies ever, and I use good very, very, very lightly.
Didn't the guy who did the Halo series also brag about having never played a Halo game when he wrote the whole Halo series that recently came out? Why would they think that that's even slightly successful, Maxie?
I think that the fact that I don't even know what that person's name is just goes to show you how successful the Halo series was.
That series sucked.
So
that series was awful.
We have seen obviously recent success with video game based content with both Cyberpunk Edgerunners and Arcane doing very, very well on Netflix. There are a lot of fans out there that are hoping that The Last of Us is going to be a step in the direction of live action video game based content doing very well. I'm in a weird camp when it comes to this because I love video game based movies even when they're bad. I love Tomb Raider. Lara Croft Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie, thought it was brilliant, even though it's terrible, right? Max Payne with Mark Wahlberg, a phenomenal piece of shit. Like, there's so many video game-based movies of franchises that I absolutely adore. where the movies are so bad, and I love every second. Every Hitman movie that's ever come out is an absolute blast, and I recommend you go watch them. Whether it's
but for the worst reasons.
Yeah, but for the worst reason, that's it. When you know as a person who's played Hitman that Agent 47 is a clone, and then one of those clones show up and it's a bald black man, and you're like, well, hang on. If this is a clone, what happened? What happened
like,
to this guy?
Yeah, no, that's like, it's just little things like that they don't care. Yeah,
it's the reason he's called Agent 47. He is the 47th clone, and he is the one perfect clone. So if you turn around and make one of them black, it's so funny.
It's like the director didn't understand the content he was making. And just clarify, it would be cool if 47 was black. That's not a commentary on anything of that.
Definitely not.
It's literally just like the whole point is he's a clone and there are 47 clones of him.
That being said, that fight scene pretty dope. It's a bunch of hitmen fighting each other with little katanas. It's sick.
There is a complete difference here, and you need to understand. I don't play Hitman for the story, okay? Like, you don't go into Hitman and go, man, the narrative in this game, it's so good, right? Like, but you do with The Last of Us, and it's like, okay, for games that are brain dead like Doom, you don't need to really go in and understand the story of Doom to know that I am here, so I must kill is his entire motivation. But for this, it's like, the whole reason The Last of Us was super successful is because the story was so good. The characters and the narrative was so good, and the thing they had with each other was so good. For them to like go into this and then not have played the game, they won't understand the chemistry that Joel and Ellie had. It's like the director could tell you the chemistry, people could say this is what it is, but if you don't experience it in the game, in the narrative setting, you can't understand it. And so it's like, I say, like, it doesn't matter for games like Halo. Obviously that was a dumpster fire, like Hitman or whatever. But when you're making a game or a movie on a game that is a narrative story driven game and you haven't even learned the story, you can't possibly give as good of a performance as you should. It would be like if Ryan Reynolds never read a Deadpool comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but I will, to play devil's advocate a bit, in an interview with Bella Ramsey, who is on set to play Ali, she stated that she hasn't played the game. She was asked in her first edition whether she'd had a chance to play it, and she said no, and the people auditioning her said, good, keep it that way. She has watched a little bit of gameplay on YouTube just to get a sense of the universe and the world. As far as Pedro Pascal, who was the star of The Mandalorian, who is now playing Joel in The Last of Us, he hasn't spent any time with the games at all, except maybe catching a glimpse through of them while his nephew plays them. I understand the logic. You know, you don't want to create false chemistry or forced chemistry. You want to create a chemistry that's natural through the script being written. All in all, I mean, Pedro Pascal has been brilliant in pretty much everything he's been in. I think he first got big in Game of Thrones, and ever since then, he's been almost a powerhouse in every movie and TV show that he's starred in, as well as being the butt of a lot of memes and all throughout the internet. I think he's going to kill it. I watched the trailer. I loved it. I thought the trailer looked incredible. My biggest concern with the show was, are they going to get clickers right? And they showed you a little itty bitty tiny little portion of a clicker, like for about 2 seconds. And I was blown away. I was like, that looks like a clicker. I'm super impressed. So I personally don't think this is a big deal. But if you're wondering, does my opinion have merit? I'm also of the quote-unquote cringe opinion that Last of Us 2 was a good game. So, you know, if you disagree with me, you might disagree with me in regards to that as well. I'm excited for the show.
I gotta go back on Fiverr and find another editor now.
I don't think that you need to have necessarily played through the entirety of the game to create good chemistry in this movie. As long as the script writers understand, and as long as the writers understand the game and understand what made the game good, because a core part of the game a core part of what made the game good was the relationship between Joel and Ellie and the exploration of that during this apocalyptic environment. And it would be really disappointing if that was just a little bit of a side note.
And finally, we're going to take a moment to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie trailer that has come out. Obviously, we can't show any of that whatsoever because we will get copyright claimed a billion times over again and again and burned down to the ground.
Nintendo hates free publicity. They hate it. I don't want it.
And it's not even Nintendo too, the company that's making the movies. They're notorious. Like any movie company is notorious about protecting their trailers to the point where like you can't even use like 5 or 6 seconds of it without your video getting taken down. But we're here to talk about how this guy, this awesome legend, decided that he wanted to redo the trailer or a specific scene from it in the style of Super Mario 64. We both just thought it was super cool. Maxie showed it to me and I was like, oh yeah, that is cool. So we wanted to share it with you. So take a look at this. And yeah, Maxie, what do you think of this?
Yeah, so look, credit to 3D animator Coda. So credit to 3D animator Coda, who's known as @CodaAnim on Twitter. He posted just a 13-second, a little itty bitty clip of it. But it's fantastic. It hit me right in my little bones of nostalgia. And I actually genuinely feel like it fits the theme of the trailer, because that was a highlight of the trailer, the little penguin coming out and being like, do you yield? I loved that moment. It made me chuckle. So seeing that get done, and then obviously the clip being finalized with a little Bowser death laugh from Super Mario 64 was just a bit of icing on that proverbial cake.
Especially since the only people that'll get the penguin off the cliff memes are like over the age of 80.
Exactly.
You know, like us. That you get it. Everyone has dropped that baby off that cliff. If you've played that game, everyone has. So it's good to see the cliff back in action.
Exactly. No, super proud of him. The video is great. Definitely go check. Sorry, the video is great. Definitely go check it out. If you want to help support him, go follow him on Twitter. It's @CodaAnim. But yeah, pretty short story. Nothing crazy, but a nice little bit of wholesome to end the news on. I'm hoping that we get to see an extended version. I kind of want to see the whole trailer in this style now.
Yeah, me too. I want to see the whole thing in Super Mario 64 theme, and probably we'll get a lot of other people doing it now that this one was successful as a meme. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. And with that is going to be it for the news. As always, if you have any comments about any of the articles or any of the stories we talked about, please put them in the comments down below. Say whatever you want. Maxie always has a prompt for you. Maxie, what do you want people to comment about this week?
Well, look, obviously comment whether or not you'd prefer a single-player Plants vs. Zombies spin-off or a Star Wars game. I think that's important for me to know. Mm-hmm. But also, I wouldn't mind knowing, do you guys think this Last of Us show is going to be good? I think it's going to be good, but I'm curious to see how the general populace thinks that the show's going to be.
I want to know if anyone has complete lack of faith in Bethesda like I do. I genuinely want to know if I'm alone in that, because I seriously and wholeheartedly can say I have zero faith in Bethesda. That's not talking like their subsidiaries like id Games or id Software or ZeniMax, or not ZeniMax, Arcane for like the people that made Dishonored. I think those are great developers, but I think Bethesda as themselves cannot do video games anymore, and I want to know what you think.
So you know what, guys? You come for the news, but you stay for the choice of comment, and you've got 3 prompts. And if you want to comment all 3, do it, but maybe comment them all separately, because then that adds more comments to the video.
You know the drill. Like the video, share it with people, comment as we just said, and until the next video, this is Delrith and Maxie, and we'll be seeing you. Bye.
Bye.